that was a little bit rude. They just removed our spectators. It's a bit harsh. Let's see if we can get back in there. Wow. So mad, much sad.
I don't know what's going on there. Maybe it is not actually a match. Maybe they're just having a friendly or something like that. But we will see. Try and sort it out quickly. And looks like we are now back in the game.
It is Ethan versus ImSoBrad. If we jump into this one here, we will see. This is round 2, Jordan, of the Cybergamer one-day competition for Hearthstone. Let's have a look. We'll bring up our starboard. Let's have a look. So this is game number 1. These are all best of 3s today. We'll have that one bit of an update. So we have a look here. We do have Hunter up against Warrior.
Yeah.
And a nice little Undertaker.
Yeah, it does look like Control Warrior here up against probably... Well, I'm assuming it's going to be a Rush Hunter, judging by that Undertaker. Going to get rid of that, though, with that Win Axe. The Acolyte of Pain coming out here as well. Not sure what he's going to do here up against that Mad Scientist. He's actually opting not to attack that with his Armor Smith. So that does leave that on the board there for ImSoBrad. Probably going to be able to clear that Armor Smith, but that does leave the other guy there. Maybe he will decide to silence that or something like that. We'll have to see. I mean, he doesn't really want to allow Ethan here to draw any cards. Let's see what he does. Knife Juggler into the Iron Beak Owl. Probably the best option here at the moment.
I was going to say, you would have to be careful with your Knife Juggler there.
Yeah.
But that looks like is what is going to happen. Yeah, so a nice little board here for ImSoBrad. We will... what's he going to clear out? I don't know. Would you take it out now? I would go with the Mad Scientist myself. But unless he has some way to silence it, we'll try spectating Ethan again. If he removes this again, we just we'll go with only the one. We'll just go with ImSoBrad. So we'll give that a burl and see how we go here. There we go. He's just a little bit sadder. I don't think he realizes that he's on stream. He'll definitely be disappointed about that later. So we'll just spectate Brad then, I suppose.
I guess so. Well, that's going to make things a little bit difficult for us, but we'll probably have to play from the perspective of ImSoBrad and just take a guess at what Ethan's going to be doing here. And actually, might not be a bad idea here to use that kill command onto that Sludge Belcher and clear as well. The little Taunter that he drops down as well, and that's also going to proc him a secret. But the issue here at the moment for ImSoBrad is he does not have really any cards in hand. So he's going to start running out of steam, and this is where Ethan's going to kind of start to pull ahead a little bit if he can get some decent minions down on the board. Actually opting just to pretty much pass his turn there, really only hero powering, and I think that kind of leaves ImSoBrad in a little bit of a sticky situation. I mean, he does get a free card draw, I guess, off that, but not really able to play anything at this stage either. Secret hasn't been procced, so he doesn't want to use that weapon of his either, and he's pretty much essentially going to pass his turn as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. Another Sludge Belcher. I believe this was number 2. Can't remember which side we had.
Yeah, this is the second one.
Second Sludge Belcher. Obviously, you do have Unleash the Hounds. There's that explosive trap, but it's one of those things. There's not much he can really do. He can obviously swing and swing through with his 1/2 as well, or may just pay 2 and pass.
Yeah, I think that's probably the better decision. Not sure exactly what trap that is. I'm assuming it's going to be a frozen one.
It's a freezing trap.
Yeah, freezing trap. Yep. So he's going to probably hope here for Ethan to attack his face with that Sludge Belcher. But we'll see if Ethan falls for it. And it looks like he's going to. Yeah, so this is probably not a good situation for Ethan. That Sludge Belcher going to costing 7 now, which is unfortunate for him. Pretty expensive. And, well, I mean, we don't know what else is in his hand. And actually, he's just going to play it straight away again. So... yeah, the situation really not getting any better at all for ImSoBrad. I
guess he has recovered 3 cards without much loss.
Damage,
he's taken 3 damage. He's going to get another hero power in there. His Eaglehorn Bow picked up another durability or a charge there.
Yeah, I think you have to play the trap here as well.
Yeah, I guess so, because if he does swing in, it will clear it out. If he does play the trap, I suppose the correct move would be just to swing through with Sludge Belcher and take it to the face here. because obviously you don't really want to be playing
anything
else. Yeah. We are into turn 9 of this game, so it would have been the possibility of a second freezing trap as well. But Grommash Hellscreen.
Whoa, this is actually a really smart play.
This is actually really smart. You will see the Enrage coming out there.
He guessed right.
He did indeed guess right. Huge 10 points of damage coming down, and it's starting to look a little bit perilous here. For ImSoBrad.
Well, it would have looked a bit silly if that was a freezing trap, to be honest. But guessing correctly, and maybe he did have something else in his arsenal that would have been able to proc that Grommash. But Unleash the Hound's coming out here. It's only going to be 2. I don't think it's going to really save him at all in this situation, actually.
No, there is, I suspect.
Well, we'll see what he gets off this web spinner, actually. Well, that's a good drop, but not in this situation.
It would be nice if you could give it taunt in some way, then it would definitely be useful. But by itself, he essentially has 1 turn left here. If that...
I would guess that there's lethal in that hand from Ethan.
It isn't hard. He only needs to pick up 4 points of damage. So ImSoBrad sitting here. He does have 5 mana on the board. But there's really not much he can do with it, to be perfectly honest. He's in a little bit of a poor situation. If I was him, I would right now be looking at this warrior deck and trying to get as much information as I can, because he knows that game number 2
he'll have to face the
same deck. Yeah, for sure. So we're bring down to 11. So this turn we'll see. You would suspect that Ethan would be able to pick up lethal here with his Grommash, go through for 10. Only needs 4 more points of damage. It's interesting. He's not playing anything onto the Grommash. What have we got left? There we go. Whirlwind will clear up the board, however. And, there you go. So...
Could be a bit of BM coming out. We'll see.
There we go. Ragnaros.
That's not a surprise at all. Well played coming out there from ImSoBrad. And that's going to put him up 1-0, Ethan, in this best of 3. So you're going to be going up against ImSoBrad's next deck, which we don't know what it will be yet, but hopefully we'll be finding out soon. Oh, as soon as they get into the match. And Ethan, of course, going to be using that warrior deck, which really did prove quite useful for him there. He just kind of stalled the game out pretty slowly and was able to kind of get to the situation where Control Warrior really does outshine a Rush Hunter in the late game. And the problem there for ImSoBrad was that he wasn't able to draw any cards that were going to be useful, and just kind of got outweighted in that game. So we will try to get back into this second game in just a sec. Looks like we are loading in. Hopefully we will be able to spec both sides of the competition this time, and here we go. We are actually going to be able to see the mulligan for the first time as well. So this is going to be interesting. Let's see what we have here.
Yeah, let's see what does come out. It's nice to be able to get in here and see what cards they are. I think maybe waiting for one of them to load, perhaps.
Yeah, it does take a little bit sometimes, and it does get stuck a little bit sometimes as well. Maybe the game crashed or something like that, so hopefully it shouldn't be too long. Going to be interesting to see what type of druid this is. It could be kind of an aggro druid or a ramp druid or something like that, but we just don't know yet. We will have to wait and see for those cards to pop out before we can really start getting an idea of what kind of deck he is building. Token druid as well, another option. So many druid decks, and actually I really like druid. I've been playing quite a lot of ramp druid since Goblins vs Gnomes came out, and has been doing quite well for me.
What is what would you normally put in your ramp druid?
Well, essentially, it basically focuses on getting those big minions out as soon as you can. So you've got those Innovates and Wild Growths. You want to get some of those in your early mulligan, and then kind of hope to get some things like Ragnaros and that sort of thing out onto the board, on maybe on turn 6 or even turn 7. Preferably turn 6 if you're lucky with an Innovate, but as well things like turn 3, Druid of the Claw, Sludge Belcher, or even turn 2, Chillwind Yeti. Definitely not something to scoff at. And it looks like we are into this game now. Haven't got a spectator. Yes, we do on both sides. So let's have a look. This does look like it could be a ramp druid. Typically, when you see that Shade of Nexaramus, it is kind of a dead giveaway of that situation. Of course, the Antique Healbot as well, kind of lending itself to that situation as well.
I have seen so many awesome Antique Healbot plays since this latest set, Goblins vs Gnomes, has come out. So it's actually quite interesting to see. I remember the Mill Druid deck where Antique Healbot just it just gets so much value there. I think Trump was playing at the time, Trump or Crip, and it was actually quite impressive. So we have a look at the board state. Both players obviously above their 30 HP, both with armor. We'll see, obviously the same Druid deck, the same Warrior deck that we saw before. So in this format, you do have a little bit of an advantage in the second game after you've lost in knowing what your opponent is playing and being able to counterpick from the classes that you picked originally. So there's a little bit of that strategy does come into it there. We will see the Azure Drake coming out,
Picking himself up another Azure Drake in the hand.
That's a little bit of value there as well. It's always nice. Azure Drake, a very, very solid card at all levels of play, I feel. So it's always nice to get one of those down onto the board. We'll see. Ethan, again, is starting to build up a solid hand.
Yeah.
However, we did see last game he was on the defensive, which is obviously the nature of the deck. And as it slowly came through, he did pick up more and more cards, pick up more and more advantage until he played that Gromash. I am a huge fan of Iron Juggernaut.
Yeah, it's quite a fun legendary, isn't it? I've actually lost the game to that, and it wasn't pretty, put it that way. But, you know, he's still going to have to wait till next turn to put that one down if he does decide to. Really probably does want to clear this board a little bit. He's probably getting a little bit worried about this Shade of Naxxramas as well. Starting to kind of ramp up a little bit, as you say. And, you know, next turn probably is going to be the turn for ImSoBrad to use it. Probably doesn't want to use it this turn. Going to just, if he does use it, it's going to be pretty much suiciding it into that Sludge Belcher, which wouldn't be an ideal situation for him. He kind of wants to get some pretty decent value out of that card, seeing as he's waited for so long for it to kind of ramp up. But we will see what he decides to go for at this stage. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know whether he's going to try and get some damage on the board. Obviously, he can silence out that Sludge Belcher as well. He's going to maybe play Khan here. Yeah, not a terrible option. Especially with Brawl here as well. It's sort of like a bit of insurance against Brawl. Yeah. Where, you know, if you do get... Because this for me, it's kind of... Brawl is getting more and more viable as a choice here, I suppose. It depends whether he wants to get more on the field, because he's going to have to play it eventually. Yeah. I don't think he's going to get that board control just from running his own creatures into his opponents. Not. Yeah. And these fiery axes aren't really going to be too useful in this situation either. They're just going to basically lead to more damage to his own face rather than anything that he can use them for. You really want them on turn 2 rather than turn 6. So pretty much 2 dead cards there at the moment. Might see some smaller creatures coming out for ImSoBrad, which would then make those fiery axes a bit more useful. But the Iron Juggernaut going to be the decision here, and we will have to wait to see when that mine is going to pop out. Obviously, that mine does deal 10 damage to the face of ImSoBrad when it comes out of the hand. Of course, you still get another card draw after that as well, so not all is bad, but it is really quite a lot of damage to pick up on one turn. This is an interesting choice here to clear the board in the way that Ethan did. I don't know if I'm a huge fan of the way he did that. He's lost a couple of minions that he could potentially keep for Brawl here. He's put himself in a position where Sludge Belcher can be taken out with a Shapeshift Hero Power. Yeah, that's not a good situation at all for him, because you know, that Iron Juggernaut can get taken out as well by that Shade of Naxxramas, and that is really kind of good value, as what we spoke about before. So we'll see what happens. Maybe opting here for a silence first before he takes that out. Yep, going for the silence instead. So might do Hero Power Shapeshift into Sludge Belcher, which he will, which is a nice bit there. Yep. I think definitely time to use that Shade, which you mentioned. 4 damage through, and I'm going to clear out the board here. Now, if we have a look at Ethan's hand, not a lot going for him, really. There's really not. Brawl really doesn't have a good answer at the moment. Like, there isn't a good situation to play it. It would be terrible value for that card to do that. Cruel Taskmaster times 2. Yeah, I think what you have to do here really is Fiery War Axe into a Cruel Taskmaster, but he's going to go for the Shield Slam. get rid of that Can Bloodhoof. Of course, not going to really improve his board control at all there. Playing the Fiery War Axe and going for a hit to the minions. Taking 2 damage to his face as well. So, yeah, the board's still definitely in favor of ImSoBrad. So still, Ethan having a little bit of trouble here at the moment.
Yeah, so he plays the Ancient of Law, which will improve his board position, get him a couple of...
Double Innovate in hand.
2 cards, 2 Innovates, there you go. 2 extra Mana Crystals for this turn, which will put him up to 5. He wants to know, going to use it on a Shade, which I suspect...
I think that was a good decision.
Yep. Did we see Brawl last game? I don't think we did.
No, we didn't. So Brawl coming out here. Now the decision is, does he want to play down a Cruel Taskmaster and try and get his own creep still to be on the board, or just
go for that? Cruel Taskmaster and pick up the Ancient there. We'll see what does come out.
That's really nice.
The Keeper, sorry. So I guess having it back here now, he does allow him to use that Cruel Taskmaster.
Yeah.
And he will get a bit of board control back. He's only 1 behind in HP. And as the swipe does go over to ImSoBrad, swipe a great card anytime that you are a Druid. It will be a great card in any deck, to be honest. But fortunately for Druids, they are the only ones who get to use it. Now, Dr. Boom, a big favourite of mine, I know a big favourite of yours.
Dr. Boom, probably the best legendary to come out of Goblins vs. Gnomes, I think.
Well, I made it in gold, so probably that's my vote.
I mean, I think it's pretty much a standard in like 90% of decks out there these days. It's kind of the Ragnaros of this new sort of set. So we'll see how Ethan decides to go after this one. Cruel Taskmaster into that Boombot might not be an awful idea, but looks like he's going for Ragnaros. Let's see if it's going to hit that Dr. Boom. Oh, and it does!
It does. Wow.
That's really, really lucky for him, actually. 1 out of 3 chance, pretty much, to kind of save the game at that point. I think if it had gone for face, then things would not have been looking good for Ethan at all. But now things kind of tipping in the favor of him. He's still got 24 HP, so definitely not in any danger of dying in the next couple of turns, you would expect.
No, it's 24 HP is pretty solid, and Druid isn't a huge one-turn kill deck either. So it's unlikely we're going to see anything ridiculous coming out of ImSoBrad here. We'll use that second Innovate, bumping him up to 5 mana. We saw the Azure Drake being hovered over, and that is... Oh, there is the mine. There we go, down to 17 HP.
That hurts.
He will draw another card. Now, I personally think you shouldn't get to draw a card, but we all know how Blizzard doesn't like to make things unfun, do they? So,
I don't know. I think, especially like if it's the first card, like when you're trying to start your turn and you draw that card and then you can't draw another card, when you're trying to kind of clutch something, trying to get that top deck, it really will punish you. But probably a discussion for greater minds than ours, if I'm honest. Going to be going for that Cruel Taskmaster, probably into that Doombot there, and of course getting rid of that Azure Drake as well. And that's probably a really good situation for him there now again. But he has to pray that this Ragnaros is going to hit the minion rather than the face in this situation.
We'll have a look.
Ooh.
Brings him down to 9 HP, up against what is essentially 21 here for Ethan. We have a look at our Druid. We have a Force of Nature, Anti-Healbot. Force of Nature really is, when you're talking about doing huge damage or, doing like one-turn kill sort of stuff.
That's the card for Druid. It's 12 damage for 6 mana, which is pretty good, actually, when you think about it. And, of course, combo that with, 6 damage. If you get the Savage Roar as well, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But we haven't got a Savage Roar here on the side of ImSoBrad. Of course, he can get rid of this Ragnaros.
If he does have a Savage Roar...
I'm sure he would have a Savage Roar.
It's
in the last 10.
Yeah, it's here. We've only got 10 cards left. We see Ethan has 4 cards of his own. We'll have a look here, see what ImSoBrad's going to play. It's... I don't know. I don't think he's sure either.
I think you have to go for Force of Nature, and I guess he's not.
He's trying to get himself
this rag?
Yeah, he's trying to get himself an extra couple of turns here with the Anti-Healbot. There we go. So he's going to deal how many damage? 2. Does he want the card? No, he's just going to use it to destroy it. So he gets a bit of board control back here. He's on par with cards, obviously, now that Ethan draws into his 5th.
That's a nice draw here because he can use his weapon here, the Death Spite, to draw a card off that Acolyte of Pain and also get rid of that Antique Healbot if he wants to. I would probably go for the card draw here, I think.
I would also go for the card draw, but he is
opting not to.
It looks to me like he wants to play Alex Straja instead. It's
not an awful decision, in all honesty.
It is obviously some board presence. There we go.
The top deck is real.
Right here, big game. Hunter is going to make that decision to play an Alex Straza. Quite a poor one,
yes.
Essentially. Now, he will pick it up. Only 2 HP removed from ImSoBrad here by Ethan playing Alex Straza.
Yeah.
Obviously, the idea was more so to get that...
Get the minion on the board.
Yeah. So, I guess we'll see. Does have a 4/2/7 mana left. I don't know. Piloted Shredder is not a bad card, in my personal opinion. We've got a swipe that we won't be using. Drill to the Claw is not terrible either.
Yeah, I would Drill to the Claw and Hero Power here. Just use up all your mana, and you get that Taunter on the field. And there's really nothing that Ethan's going to be able to do about this. He's got the Shield Maiden, but that's going to get traded out pretty easily. It's going to give him 5 shield as well. I guess he can try for the Shield Slam onto that Drill to the Claw, which wouldn't be a particularly awful decision, but we'll see what he goes for here.
Yeah, it isn't a terrible way of going about. He can obviously armor up Shield Slam or Shield Slam execute, but armoring up is the better decision. Does keep your card.
Yeah.
That's going to clear that out and put him a little bit ahead on board, but obviously he has passed turn, and ImSoBrad will have the opportunity here to do something himself. Again, Piloted Shredder, not terrible. Wild Growth, gain an empty mana crystal. Where are we at? There we are. Do you get to draw a card?
Yes,
you do. Yeah.
Free draw. Well, 2 mana for a draw, essentially. Which is really not that great when you think about it in the grand scheme of things. But in this situation, I think he really did want that draw. Does have 2 Piloted Shredders there. But opting potentially for that swipe. We'll see what he goes for. He'd have to go and follow up with a Hero Power if he wants to do that. And maybe does not want to take 5 damage to the face at this point.
I guess in a situation where he leaves the Shield Maiden on the board, he's on 17 HP, so he's concerned of what? It says, what would he have that could take him down in a turn? I guess 5 damage on the board can be a little bit
scary.
Yeah, a little bit. I don't know. It's if he played, for example, 2 Piloted Shredders, swung to face, and then passed, it sets him up very well for the next turn.
Yeah.
Which is what he's going to end up doing here.
Ooh.
So Armor Smith, nice, but not really going to do anything. It's a nice card. We'll see what our Piloted Shredder is going to eject here onto the board.
Oh, well, I mean, you could get worse.
There are worse.
All honesty.
But when you say there are worse, though, it doesn't mean
it's no Millhouse Mana Storm, let's put it that way.
Yes, well. There we go. Now, this would have been a nice double up here if he still had that Death Spite. Alright, so as we said, he has this board position here. He lost 2 of his creatures, however. Force of Nature is going to come out 6 mana. There we go. Going to play that one. Did we get the Savage Roar? Yes, there we go. Can you count?
No, actually, my maths is not that good, as you know.
I think 8 from 12 is probably going to leave us here with the situation where ImSoBrad does pick up game number 2, Jordan. So there we go. So these are best of 3s. So
they're 1-1 at the moment.
Yeah. So if one player obviously picks up 2 rounds in a row, then that's fine. He's going to win that one. But in this situation, we have got 1 apiece. So in a best of 3, we'll go to a third game. So it means that Ethan now has the advantage because he knows what deck he's up against, and he can pick from the remaining
he's got left
decks and decide. So he obviously can't play Warrior again.
No. But he's going to be up against a Druid, so I don't know what other decks he has got in his repertoire. So we'll have a look quickly.
We can have a look here. So
looking for Ethan.
Ethan, here we go. So Druid, Mage, Paladin, Warrior. So we go Druid versus Druid. I'm not sure. There was a ban phase here, so unsure what was actually banned out. We'll go in and we'll spectate Ethan here, and we'll see what he has picked up and decided to play Druid versus Druid.
Ooh, interesting mirror matchup. Well, potentially. It might not be the same style of deck, but definitely does look that way at this stage. Both of them kind of looking towards a ramp style. And really, neither of these guys have a particularly fantastic first draw. Having a bit of fun there with the board, are we?
What's I just wish it came back so you could keep
doing it.
Yeah, I just want to be able to click, 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 launch another rocket.
But that would kind of ruin the novelty of it, in all honesty, I think. Because, you know, when you get to do things multiple times, it just ruins the moment. I guess maybe the coin here wouldn't be a bad choice, but opting to go for a hero power again, passing the turn. I dare say we'll see a Shade of Naxxramas coming out from turn 3 for both these players.
Well, it's not a terrible play, is it?
No.
It is probably quite a beneficial play for both players here. Will pass turn potentially into a Shade. He does have an Innovate
I don't
as
think
well.
you innovate here. You can really only innovate out the Lotheb, which is not going to be particularly fantastic in this situation. You wouldn't really be making use of his battle cry at all. He doesn't know that, but really what kind of spell is a Druid going to be using, particularly at turn 4 when you just play when you've only got one card on the field?
Yeah, I always like Lotheb as a card that lets you push and advantages that you already have.
Yeah.
You get a nice board and you manage you know, either to clear out on that turn and then play it, or you're lucky enough to go through a turn and still have a good board on the next turn after that.
Yep.
And Lotheb just puts you in an even better position than you already were. It just allows you to get ahead even further here. So any number of plays, Chill and Yeti, not a terrible card to play. Obviously one of those value cards considered. We do have the new Mechanical Yeti.
Yeah. Arguable whether it's a direct upgrade or if it's really more of a side grade.
Yes. Well, it is spare parts, I guess. Potentially, you could see yourself, you know, find yourself in a situation where that spare part really does
benefit you, but
or your opponent.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I guess it's kind of a 50-50 situation. Who's going to benefit more from it? Nonetheless, it is still a strong card on the board, as Chillwind Yeti is as well. So definitely a good card to play in your deck if you've got it.
Yeah. ImSoBrad here does seem to have the board advantage. It's also his turn. He is out of mana, however. Can we see... can he attack with... He can attack with this and this turn. He will instead pass. He may have already attacked with the...
No, he played the Druid of the Claw on that turn into the taunt, so he had to wait a turn for that to really activate so that he can attack with it.
He did swing with the Piloted Shredder.
Yeah, the Piloted Shredder did.
Yeah, and deciding to let the Shade of Naxxramas bulk itself up. We will see Lotheb coming out, maybe. Or
I'm not a fan of it in that situation, to be honest. He doesn't know what cards are in ImSoBrad's hand, but I don't think it really is going to be a particularly strong minion on the board anyway. It's not going to be able to trade with any of those guys particularly well, considering there is the hero power from ImSoBrad that can finish it off. And that Shade of Naxxramas, of course, as well going to be ramping up to 5/5 next turn for ImSoBrad. But I think this was a better decision. Get a few cards in the hand, kind of open up your options a little bit more. And the Wrath draw there coming out.
He's leaving himself a little bit open here, though. 26 HP.
Yes.
We can see 13 damage already on the board at 6 mana. It does, you know,
could have
there's 6 here.
19 damage.
Yeah,
this turn, which would really cripple Ethan at this point.
Yeah, it is quite a considerable amount of damage. It looks to me like Brad, however, is, I think he's considering
board clearing here.
Yeah.
And to be honest, is not an awful option. There are so many cards in Ethan's hand that ImSoBrad isn't aware of, you know, what they are. So they could be heal bots or something like that, which could really ruin that play for him. But we will see him now clearing the board. Wrath going to be picking up a card here. Azure Drake, not going to be able to play that this turn, but Naxxramas going to be the one. Shade of Naxxramas going to be the one coming out there. And of course, trading wonderfully there, keeping his minions alive where possible. There is a swipe available here for Ethan. So is he going to go for that swipe into Keeper of the Grove, maybe? No, it looks like he's going to...
I think he might swipe right about now. There you go.
Yeah.
To the face. So going to clear up both the Taunt and one Shade, making that board look much
pretty
better.
even now.
Yeah, it's much more on par. He's going to play his second Shade of Naxxramas, which we'll see all 4 potential Shades come out. And there comes the opposing swipe here for ImSoBrad. So quite even, to be fair, so far.
Right, so what are we going to see coming out this turn for ImSoBrad? I guess a bit of card draw here wouldn't be particularly bad. He does have the Azure Drake, as well as the Ancient of Law, if he does decide to play that. But does he want to clear this Shade of Naxxramas? I think you probably have to at this point. Next turn it's going to be 6-2, and he's going to have a 3-3 on the board next turn as well if those aren't cleared. So that's a lot of damage. But Dr. Boom coming out here. Just going to trade that Gilbin Stalker in there as well. So yeah, I think that was a pretty decent turn there for ImSoBrad.
Yeah, absolutely. So he obviously has, he went first, so he had that that advantage in terms of 1 mana, allowing him to get his Dr. Boom out 1 turn in front, or unless he grabbed a crystal early on. Doesn't say who played that. Blue played that, so that must have been Ethan. So there you go. That makes sense though. So yes, ImSoBrad gaining that advantage purely for being player number 1 here. As we see, Ethan did have the coin last turn, so he's in. Now would be a great time to have a swipe, to be honest. Yeah, swipe into Dr. Boom.
It's going to be Dr. Boom and Shade Dr. Booms and Shade of Naxxramas on both sides of the board if he does play that. And then I guess that really favors the first turn advantage.
Yeah, exactly. Because it gives Brad the opportunity to come
to,
back. Yeah.
Oh, and that's not a good situation at all for Ethan there either. Big Game Hunter wouldn't be an awful decision here, but what else is he going to follow up with? Keeper of the Grove, not going to get a lot of value. Probably going to go Innovate and Druid of the Claw, which is, I guess, a better decision than playing that Keeper of the Grove.
Yeah, it's always nice to have a Druid of the Claw on your field. There's nothing... There is the potential to clear him out here at the moment, but it would take both cards and some RNG, or perhaps a hero power. He does, in his hand, have Force of Nature, which isn't too bad. He does have a swipe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
You could swipe and then chuck that Dr. Boom. Or actually, you would go Dr. Boom, Boombot, rather, first into the Druid of the Claw to see kind of how much damage it's going to do to whatever. It looks like he's going to do that. And,
there we go.
Probably would have hoped for it to hit the Druid there.
Yeah, Isis, yes. Ethan with a little bit of...
BM.
Yeah, just a little bit.
So he's still got 8 mana sitting in his hand at the moment. What is he going to do here? I think maybe Azure Drake would probably be the play here. I guess you've got the Druid of the Claw as well, but nothing that he has is really going to be able to clear out that Druid of the Claw on the board.
Big shout out to John's girlfriend, Sonia, in the chat. Great for you to join us today. Just want to say that there. We have a look here. He's running out of time. We'll see what he has to play. He's still 8 mana. He hasn't actually done anything. Ancient of Law, every time they do seem to have enough mana for the Ancient of Law, it is what they tend to play.
Yeah. All right, now the decision is here with Ethan. What does he want to do? Dr. Boom. Probably a decent option here. Going to get himself some board control. But Ancient of Law, again, as you say, when they have it there...
If you've got 7 mana, it seems to be the go-to. I like Dr. Boom myself. He just has so much board presence. So much board presence. So much that you can do with it. Savage Roar, even, I suppose, in a Druid deck as well.
Yeah, well, ImSoBrad has got those 2 Force of Natures, but no Savage Roar in his hand at the moment. So you're really not looking for that at the moment. And I mean, I guess neither of them. We haven't actually seen a Savage Roar in either of these decks yet. So we don't know that it's there. We're just kind of assuming at the moment.
We saw it. I think Brad had it.
Oh, did he?
He did.
He did use it. Yeah.
Finished up last game.
My mistake.
Yeah. So we know there's 1.
At least 1.
Yeah.
Do you put 2 into the deck or only 1? Because I think sometimes it can be a bit of a dead card in your hand if you have 2.
Well, it's a dead card unless you're about to win with it normally.
Yeah, it's a win more card. So sometimes, really, I think you might only need 1.
It's a nice finisher. It gets you across the line here. A Swipe being pulled out. Swipe going even better with an Azure Drake. Here we still will see 5 potential damage, going to pick up
a lot of damage.
A lot of value there. Azure Drake does go down.
I wouldn't be particularly sad about that if I was Ethan, honestly. I think he couldn't have really hoped for a lot more. Maybe you could have said, oh, I would rather get rid of that Shade of Naxxramas, but I guess it kind of worked out all right for him in the end.
Yeah, there's the Savage Roar coming out for Ethan. So we know that both players are playing them. Lotheb, well, it's interesting. We have said that Ancient of Law has been coming out a lot. Obviously, if he plays it, though, it just puts him in a position where he can just run his opposing. You know, he's down on HP. If you just played an Ancient of Law there, if I was ImSoBrad, I would have just run mine Ancient of Law straight into the face.
All right, what's going to be the decision here? Still no Savage Roar for ImSoBrad, but you feel that will probably be the kind of game killer for him. He does have those 2 things in his hand.
2 Savage Roars. There we go.
All right, so this is kind of the situation where it starts to become more of a dead draw than anything else because he doesn't have a lot that he can use with it. I mean, he could use it this turn, clear out that Jewel of the Claw, but you wouldn't really be particularly happy with that use.
No, it's I guess that, you know, it is an option. It's 5 damage off the board.
Remember, it gives you some onto your hero as well, so he would be able to clear 2 creeps with that, but opting to go for the Keeper of the Grove here.
Savage Roar to be able to take down.
To be honest, I think he could have used Savage Roar before and then used his face to kill the other creep there and silenced that piloted Shredder. But guess he's gone for that.
Crazed Alchemist not going to get much from him having a battle cry. Wouldn't mind seeing a 1-5 Lotheb, but that is not how the game works at all. There we go. Force of Nature coming out here.
8 damage.
Yeah, he does well play,
but he's
but
got
no
swipe still.
No Savage Roar follow-up.